What's up everybody, it's your girl D. If you're new here, you're watching the Big Apple Prepper. So today we're going to be talking about egg preservation techniques, and before I jump right into that, I just wanted to give you guys a brief update. A lot of you might know I struggle a lot with my health, and I was in an accident in 2020. I had a faulty garage door come down on my head. It messed me up from head to toe, and I have neurological issues with my eyes, with my speech, with my right leg. Like basically everything's like all messed up. I don't remember things. I get tongue-tied a lot. I have like a whole bunch of problems. So I went to the doctor today and I got some good news about like my progress, and she thinks that I am doing better. And then I went to get an EMG, which is where they test the nerves in my leg, and we're gonna get the results back and see how that's doing. Well, you might see me like sit, stand, and move about on video. Like outside, it's a different ball game for me. I do have trouble walking, so I have to use a mobility device, and I have to do a lot of physical therapy. And just in case you were wondering what physical therapy looks like to learn to walk again, this is what it looks like.
We're going to do step over step. Okay. Heel side first. Okay. Very good. Like a lounge. Tighten your core. So, very good.
So now that that brief update is out of the way, we're going to be discussing eggs and egg preservation techniques. So, if you've ever left the US, you might notice that other countries do not store their eggs in the refrigerator at the store. And the reason for that is that when eggs are laid on a farm, they have something called a cuticle. And the cuticle is the protective barrier that on the egg that protects the embryo when the egg is being developed. So in other countries, what they do is they just take the freshly laid egg with the cuticle and they place it into a carton and on the shelf. However, in the US, in Japan, in Australia, and a few other Scandinavian countries, we wash, bleach, add mineral oils, and clean off the egg, which removes the cuticle, and this makes the egg not be able to preserve itself, which is why it has to be stored in a refrigerator after the egg is laid and cleaned. Wash your eggs with water and detergent, and they come out nice and clean when we purchase them at the store. However, in other countries, they're going to have some dirt spots and stuff on them. The benefit to having them washed and cleaned is that they're nice to look at, I guess, and be clean, but then we have to keep them refrigerated. On the other hand, if we were to keep the cuticle on the egg, that would mean that we are leaving dirt and manure on the eggs. So the eggs would not look this pretty coming out of the chicken. So going back to egg preservation techniques, the one I'm going to be showing you today is egg pickling, and we are going to be using a special pickling spice, and I'm going to be walking you through the steps. With egg pickling, it will allow you to do this process without having to use a pressure canner, and you'll be able to store your eggs in the refrigerator for up to 4 months. Normal eggs that are refrigerated, store-bought refrigerated eggs, they only last between 3 to 5 weeks. So this will increase your lifespan with your eggs. And the benefit to having them already pickled is that you can just pull them out of a refrigerator and they are ready to eat. They taste amazing on sandwiches, wraps, and you can just eat them plain just like that. For a sit down situation, if you had your chicken and it laid eggs, you could not have to use a refrigerator. However, if you had a root cellar and you used this process that I'm going to be showing you today, you would be able to store your eggs for up to 4 months. There is a longer preservation technique than the one I'm going to be showing you today. It's called water glassing eggs. But in order to do this, the eggs must be purchased from a farm and still have the cuticle on them.
Thanks, princess.
Because we are going to be working with store-bought eggs today, we are not going to be doing the water glassing method because you cannot water glass store-bought eggs. They must have the cuticle on them. So let's get started. So honestly, this is a pretty simple, straightforward recipe. It's going to be super quick. I'm going to be doubling my ingredients because I like to make more than just one amount that I'm going to be showing you the ingredients for. But I'm going to be boiling all 24 of these eggs. The recipe actually calls for 12 eggs, but I'm going to be doing all of these, and that is going to yield me about 3 of these quart-size ball jars. So I'm super excited, and here we go.
Looks like our eggs are up to boil, and we're going to be removing them now.
So while our eggs are cooling, we're going to be moving on to the next step. We're going to add 3 cups of white vinegar. We're going to add 1 cup water. We're also going to be chopping 1 onion, very thinly sliced. We're going to be adding the onion in next. We're going to be adding 1/3 cup sugar and 1 bay leaf. We're going to be adding 1 teaspoon salt and 4 teaspoons of pickling spice. We're putting all the ingredients into the pan, and then we are going to boil them and then let them simmer for 5 minutes. Why didn't the chicken cross the road? Because there was KFC on the other side.
Okay, so I've taken my eggs and I've shocked them into cold water. One of them busted, but this makes them easier to peel. If you boil your eggs with hot water, it will also make them easier to peel. And if you use at least 1 week old eggs, they will also be easier to peel. It is a small technique. There's a few techniques to make your eggs easier to peel. This is just some quick tips.
Alright guys, so we're at our last step. We are now going to start layering eggs into jars, and I'm going to be showing you how to do so properly. Alright guys, so we're now ready to fill our jars, and basically we are going to start our layering process. I am going to put in 3 eggs. And then I'm going to take some of this dill, and I'm going to basically move that around, and then we're going to get some of this concoction and start filling our jar. Oh my god, this might burn your eyes, so
might want to wear some sunglasses or something while you're doing this, because the vinegar is destroying. And the onions, oh my god, it's crazy. And you're just doing 3 eggs at a time. And I'm doing a quart-sized jar, so that is how I get my quart-sized jar to be filled. Now, a lot of you, if you pressure can, this is a good time to save those lids that you normally would have thrown out, because although we're not pressure canning today, you can use those, like for example, if this was on a pressure can meal and you pulled it off and you would have considered throwing it out, like you can actually use it for this recipe if you cleaned it off, because it doesn't, you're not pressure canning, so it's fine. It works, and that's a good way to reuse your lids. So that's basically how a jar ends up looking like. Look at that. Isn't it a thing of beauty? I'm gonna just go ahead and fill the rest of these jars, and I'm sorry if I'm like squatting down, but in order for me to get the full view of the table, I kind of have to. And I completely forgot to mention before, but you do want to put 1 whole clove of garlic into your jar as well at the very end. And I just completely missed saying that when I was filling my jars. But this is what they look like, and then they will go in the fridge, and they'll be ready to eat within a week, because it takes about a week for the flavors to catch on. And then that's it. You're good for the next 4 months. These babies are ready to eat at any given time. Salad, wraps, sandwiches, anything you want. So that's all I have for you guys. And I will see you next time on the Big Apple.